Welcome back to SAS Enterprise Guides. Today we're going to look at building a quota table in a data step. So I like to use quota tables for joining onto other data sets. Any data sets where you have a date in there. It might be date of a call, it might be date of a sale, date of any kind of transaction, date of a delivery, etc. But any data set where you've got a date, you can then join on to a quota table that you've created, and it'll give you extra information, which is what we're going to do here. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to need a couple of variables. So one easy type of variable is the percentage let variable. Now what this does is it stores some information in SAS's memory for you to use later on in the program. So percentage let start we're going to have as the 1st of January 1980. Percentage let end is the 31st of December 2025, and they're two dates just for this example. So once you run those, start and end are stored into SAS's memory. So anywhere that you put ampersand start or ampersand end, SAS knows that you mean those two dates. So onto the data step itself. So we're going to call the table quota, so data quota, then do, so let's tell SAS what we're actually going to do, date equals, and here we can see the ampersand start, so it's going to put that start date in, to ampersand end, that start date in. So SAS knows that the date column is going to start on that date and end on that date. And what it's going to do, it's going to have every date in between there. Next, we're going to call the next column weekday, week_day. And that's going to equal the SAS function weekday for the date that we've just created. And that's only where it's between 2 and 6. So basically, if the weekday is a 1, which is Sunday, or a 7, which is a Saturday, the beginning and start of every week, then we're not going to include that as weekdays. So it's basically Monday to Friday, and that's a way to do it. Next, the weekend, we're going to turn that on its head. So weekend equals not weekday. So anything other than Monday to Friday, so basically 1 or a 7, Sunday or a Saturday is going to be our weekend. Next we're going to look at the week. So the SAS function week, and then again in brackets we're going to have the date, which we've created up here, comma V. Now the V is quite important depending on what you want to show, or how you want to work out the year. You've basically got 4 options in the week function within SAS. The first option is have it blank. The next 3 options that you're going to have are either U, V, or W. So U means that you're beginning on the first, your week on the first Sunday in the Gregorian year. The V means that you're beginning on the Monday between the December the 29th of the previous Gregorian year and January the 4th of the current Gregorian year. The first ISO week, therefore, can be split and span the previous and current years. And finally, W begins on the first Monday in that Gregorian year. So we're going to use V in this instance. So our column week, which tells us, or it will tell us the week of the year for each date in our data set, uses the week function, looking at the date, and V, which means the first Monday between December 29th of the previous year and January the 4th of that year. So it depends each year on where that falls. Next we're going to look at day of week, and there we're using the put function, and then the date, and the format, which is DOW name 3. Now that's DOW is basically stands for day of week name, and the 3 means that we're going to have the first 3 characters. So Friday would be FRI, Monday would be MON, etc. You can put 1, 2, 3, 4, however many you want in there to show how many characters of each day of the week. But we're going to use 3 in this instance. So for each date, that's going to show us the day of the week that is throughout all the years. Next we're going to have month. So again, column called month, and that's going to equal, now this is the month function within SAS, and it's simply month and date, and it tells you, based on each date, what calendar month that is. Next, very similar, is year. So the year function with a date tells you what year for every date that is. And then we're going to output all that information and end. Then one last thing before we run the code is to format the date that we've already created as a date9 format. Now you can choose whichever format of date you want. I quite like the date9 format, and for just example purposes that's what we're going to use here. So if we run that code, SAS is going to read in the start and the end dates, create the data set, do and create these columns, output the information, format the date, and run the whole code. So if we run that code, SAS will create that data set from scratch, from nothing. So we don't have a set here or a from, like a ProcSQL. It's just creating a data set. So there we go. You can see the data set's created. So as we've asked SAS to start on the 1st of January 1980. And we're going to run all the way through until the 31st of December 2025. Just as a quick example, if we changed that to the 7th of January 1989 in the variable, because it will reread in the start date and update this. That's why variables are so useful. You could have that numerous times throughout your code. Instead of changing it 2, 3, 4, 5 times, just change it to once in the variable and it will update throughout your code. So it saves a lot of time. Plus it increases accuracy of your code. So let's rerun that, and that should start on the 7th of January 1989. Again, just for example purposes, to show you what that variable does. And there we go. So that's the first date. So we can then see what each of the columns have done. You can see that Monday to Friday it's put as the ones in the weekday. The Saturday, Sundays it's got the one as the weekend. If you want to use that in your data sets, it's got the week of the year from 1 up until 52. It's also got the month and the year. Now, as I say, this can be very useful for when you're joining this data set onto another data set, a data set that may contain dates of deliveries, orders, etc. Now, you could even call this sales week, sales month, sales year, or delivery week, transaction month, transaction year, depending on what you want to use it for. So by linking that date onto the date in your other data set, where that equals that, you can then pull back this extra information. So you don't have to have this stored in each of your data sets. You know, you can have this quota table ranging from the start and the end date that you require, and have this information ready to append and update and join onto your other data sets. So to recap, we're using a variable here and here to tell SAS the start and end date. We're going to create a quota table here, a data set. We're going to tell SAS what we're going to do, start and end dates, some functions, output the data, end, format the date as date9, and run the code. And this is the output that we get, and that can be very, very useful. So that's it. That's how to create a quota table in a data set, data step within SAS. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't hesitate to get in touch if you want to ask any questions. Rate, comment, and please subscribe. See you next time.